Traders, Akil here. Welcome back to another episode of the Trading Coach Podcast. If you guys are new, I am a Forex trader. I am also a trading coach over at tier1trading.com. And this is a podcast that I put out 3 times a week, each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, both on Apple and Android, sharing with you some tips on business, life, and trading, of course. Today's podcast, we're going to focus more on the business side of things, which if trading is your business, this will relate to you. But hopefully this is relatable to anyone going out there that has a business or plans on creating a business. And I'm getting ready to head to an annual meeting for a foundation I'm a part of in about a few hours. And I know that one of the topics of this meeting is going to be on really fundraising and creating a campaign and stuff like that. So I had marketing on the mind, and it really brought me back to the subject of personal branding and some of the struggles that I deal with as someone who is caught between kind of the business world of wanting to optimize your business, yet wanting to stay truthful for yourself or to yourself. And I think it's important to understand that your brand is everything, right? Your personal brand in this day and age is the most important thing that you have. Understand that when people make buying decisions, unless you're in some type of well-known organization or company like a McDonald's or something like that. But if you're, in business for yourself, an entrepreneur, self-employed, something like that, people aren't necessarily buying your product. They are buying you, the person, especially if you're offering a service. And your personal brand is really your biggest marketing tool. In the day and age of social media, where most people find stuff through the internet, whether it's a Google search, a YouTube search, even a Facebook or an Instagram or a Twitter search like that, the way that you depict yourself is very important because people are going to pass judgment off of that, right? I know we always hear the story that, hey, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but the honest truth is first impressions do matter, and that we do judge books by their covers. I mean, the book that has the more exciting cover, that looks more intriguing and interesting, is typically, apologize for that sound in the background, it's typically the book we're going to get. And I always give the example of this, right? If 2 cars approach you, right? If you know you're going to be approached by, let's say, a money manager, someone that is offering to manage your money, and you're waiting outside, you have this meeting at the Starbucks, right? Because that's where fancy folk have meetings at. And 2 cars approach, right? One is a brand new Mercedes-Benz. The guy hops out, 3-piece suit, right? Nice shoes, clean as a whistle, right? Another man comes up in a 1990 Honda Civic, rust spots, beat up. It's, smoke's coming out the back. He's got dirty jeans and a t-shirt on. Who are you more comfortable giving your money to? Right? It's going to be the first person, even if he's the worst money manager, because the point is you never get to that point where you understand that, hey, this guy isn't that good. The first impression was the look, right? You associate a certain look with a certain product. You associate a cleaner gentleman with a classier vehicle as being better than a dirtier gentleman with an older beat up vehicle, right? Again, we just, you don't even get to the point where you can kind of understand the details of what they have to offer because you've already made that judgment. And that's how life on social media is. You are judged by the first few pictures or the first few posts that come up, right? If you have a string of bad posts, non-professional posts that show the worst of you, not that people post the worst of themselves on social media, but just as an example, you're going to be judged accordingly. So it's very important that you manage your personal brand. You're deliberate about what you put out there. And that doesn't mean that you have to put out there what the people want, but just be smart about what you do put out there. Being a track and field coach has taught me that a lot because I'm in a position where I represent a public university, right? I represent a state-run university. I'm an employee of the state as far as a track coach goes. I also represent my track and field program and recruiting. And I know that there are thousands of athletes that look at my profiles and parents as well saying, do we want this guy to be our next coach? Are we comfortable with this guy really taking care of my son or daughter over the next, whatever years going forward? And I'm pretty sure if they see a very negative image of myself, they're going to have second guesses, especially compared to maybe a competing school that doesn't have that same image. So you got to manage your personal brand. But something that I've always struggled with business is, again, really optimizing the sales aspect of it, because I am not a salesman. And well, let's take a step backwards. We are all salesmen to a point, right? Whenever we do something, whenever we talk, we are selling something. Now, it could be selling ourselves. You could be talking to a boy or a girl, or a man or a woman, I should say, and you're trying to get the numbers. You're trying to establish a relationship. What are you doing? You're selling yourself to them. You're selling the best of yourself in hopes of you getting a phone number and maybe getting a date later. So in whatever conversation we have, we're always in a way selling ourselves. So we're all salespeople. But when it comes to selling a product, there's a specific way to do it that will get you the most in return. But the question is, do you want to do it that specific way if it sacrifices something else, maybe like something moral or ethical? And we can give an example of like search engine optimization, right? There is a very specific way to title content. Let's say a podcast, or let's say a video, right? Let's say I have a video that comes out saying, learn to trade this, right? Okay, that's a nice title, but, right, it would be much better if I added a how-to. It's an amazing what happens when you add a how-to to something, right? Instead of just learn to trade price, how to trade price, right? That is a much better way to put it. We want to take it to the next level. We can add a number to it, 7 tips on how to trade price, or give a specific country or something like that. Again, there's all types of different ways, to give you a few examples. And that would be the optimal way to get the most amount of views, the optimal way to get the most amount of listens, and the optimal way to get ranked on Google's list. But at the same time, there's so much stuff out there that is false. And we've all seen the titles on YouTube where the video has nothing to do with the title. They're just telling you something. There comes a point where you do that enough, and especially if your videos aren't backing that up, where you just seem dishonest. And if you're dishonest, you're really like the rest of the snake oil salesmen, or whatever they call them on the internet, that are just trying to sell you a dream. And the question is, do you want to be labeled in that same light? And that's always the dilemma that I have, right? I would love to optimize my videos. I would love to have every single one of my videos be the number one thing on Google, or number one list on Google when you search Forex, or when you search trading, or when you search, whatever, right? I would love to have more YouTube views. I would love to have more podcast downloads. But is it worth the sacrifice of my personal brand? Am I willing to sacrifice kind of what I stand for and who I am for more views? And that's a very tough dilemma. And it's really going to go down to what is more important to you. And for me, I think the most important thing for me is legacy. The most important thing is my name, right? My name is, it's what I came into this world with. It was the first thing I had coming into this world. It's the last thing I have leaving. It's going to stay with me forever, again, past my death date. And even further, my name, my last name, my association stays with the future generations, right? Think about people that have done bad. Think about this, for example, and this may be a far-reaching one. I hope I don't offend anyone, but there was a parent. I don't know where they're at, but they named their son Hitler. Now, what is the direct association with that? Something negative. Right? That kid's off to, he's behind the race when it starts because he has a name that has a negative association. Same thing for anyone that has committed like another mass crime, right? There are future generations that have the same name. There's always going to be that association to negativity, even if they're not related, just because of the legacy that was left before them. And you can do the same thing in the positive light as well. You have some people out here, your Bill Gateses, your Steve Jobs, right? People that are associated with them, family members associated with them, are going to be looked at in a positive light. So legacy is big for me because not only does it represent me and myself, it represents my family, it represents the future of my two kids and their grandkids. And when I am faced with the decision of what's more important, pure sales right now or integrity and legacy in my name, it's not even a tough decision. And it may be different for you guys. I'm not saying one is right or the other, but I think you have to choose. You have to choose that fine balance. You can't have only one of one thing, right? You can't have only one of one thing and sacrifice the other fully. You got to find somewhere in that middle ground where you're doing enough to maintain your integrity. You're doing enough to maintain whatever you want your personal brand to be, but also not hurting your business while doing so. And on the other hand, again, you want to bring service to your business. You want to optimize your business, and you want to do that as much as possible. But you also don't want it to hurt your brand. You also don't want it to hurt your name, because if you hurt your brand, you hurt your name. The short-term optimization of your business will mean nothing, because eventually you'll be labeled and you'll be thrown in there with the other failing businesses, and you just won't see the long-term success that you think. So just some thoughts that are going through my head right now. I guess I'll get back to kind of prepping for this meeting, getting some food in my system, but wanted to share that with you guys. And again, this is what the Trading Coach podcast is about. It's not just trading related. It's a reflection on my life. It's a chance for you guys to follow along my journey. Obviously, the podcast wasn't around when I first started trading. I wish it was. This would have been an amazing legacy to see and hear my thoughts as a new struggling trader. I did have a written blog, but to hear it in podcast format, to hear the pain in my voice as I struggle day in, day out of trying to find success to where I'm at now. But you guys can kind of see the second half. You guys can kind of see the point where I'm at, where I'm a consistently profitable trader, the point where I'm at, where I'm running a very successful $1 million business. Yet the struggles that we continue to have, the thoughts or the dilemmas that we continue to face, and that it doesn't necessarily get easier. It gets, I would say, even harder to maintain success, and that I'm really no different than any of you guys, and that's what I want to get across. So I appreciate it, as always. If you like the show, do me one of two things, or both if you really liked it. Leave me a rating or a review, especially if you're on Apple Podcasts, iTunes. Those ratings and reviews go a big way. Also, share the show. It could be anywhere on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. It doesn't matter. Just share the show with a friend. Word of mouth works as well. And of course, if you find things that you liked in this podcast, do me a favor, give me a shout out on social media when you do it. That way I can like it, I can retweet it, give you some love, okay? Lastly, if you're interested in trading, you want to take a 14-day trial, right? Here comes the business marketing side of it, right? If you're interested in trading and you want to learn how to trade, head over to our website, www.tier1trading.com. There's a 14-day trial for just $1. It gives you a chance to get on the platform. You can check out our emergence training course. You can download our software. You can chat with our community. You can watch our daily videos. You can join us in the live room, all for just $1, and just kind of get a chance to feel out if we're the right educators for you. And if you're someone that, has no plans on continuing, at least you get 2 weeks of essentially free education that can hopefully take your trading to the next level. So until next time, guys, plan your trade your plan. I hope you guys have a great week, whenever you're listening to this, whenever this comes out. I'll just see you. Have a good day.